Okay guys, today we're doing the Hoodoo video. Hoodoo is the current #1 Walker commander, and second to him is going to be Chief, and then second to Chief is going to be Galileo. The reason Chief and Galileo aren't on the same level as Hoodoo is because Galileo is a terrible answer to Rogers, and not a great answer to Golem. Because he really, Galileo really only shines against commanders equal to him, like Plasmas, and maybe you could argue Stella because of his healing ability. Overall, he just doesn't make a great boss commander. Not the worst, but he's not as good as what Hoodoo can do. Hoodoo has a special ability, which we're going to talk about here in a second. And also, the reason that Chief isn't up here is because even though Chief has that guaranteed hit skill with that bonus damage, it's not as good as Golem's. Golem is just a better commander all around. And I put Hoodoo above Golem, and here's why. So Hoodoo has this cool ability called Death Rattle. It has a 100% chance to trigger. And it says that whenever he kills an entire slot of units, all the other slots explode for 15% or whatever the current damage is of the slot that was destroyed. And what you want to do is you want to destroy the entire slot in one shot. Not two shots with a Gemini, in one fell swoop. So if they have 100,000 units on one stack and you blow it up, odds are it's going to hit everything else for, if level 60, 60% of that HP stack. And if a person you're going up against has maybe Rangers in all slots and only a one stack of tier 9 on, say, the second slot because they're attacking you, or maybe in the back row because they know you have a Walker commander and their Awakenings only hit the front row, this Death Rattle will hit all the slots. So that's why it's so powerful. And it triggers off of anything. You can have Libra gems that if you counterstrike somebody and kill a whole slot in the back row, you can blow them up and hit all the other troops as well. So even if they're trying to dodge your main slot, the Death Rattle will still hit it. So really powerful in that regard. And of course, it whittles down opponents. Like if someone sends a full march of Plasma, then if you kill one slot, yes, you'll get hit for the full damage of that Plasma slot because he Plasma bombs you. But all the other Plasma slots will get hit for 60% or 15% in my case of the HP of the original slot. So they won't completely kill the slot, it'll just whittle them down. So he's a good answer to Plasma in that regard. The best answer to Plasma in the game in that regard. His first ability is Chain Blast, and you'll see it says 44%. Once again, I'm using the Armageddon Hall, so it should be 40%. It says that before the next attack, well, it says once this hits, if you have a successful regular attack, then everything else in the front row will take 1% of whatever level you have. So mine's 15, it says 15% normal damage. So it's kind of a bonus to the Awakening here. And what's good about it is if you don't one shot the entire front row, it whittles them down even more. And hopefully either your Awakening, your Chain Blast, or your Death Rattle, which you can potentially hit slots 2 and 3 on your first strike multiple times because of these skills, and you whittle down their entire army with one big blast. So Hoodoo is an excellent one-slot buster against everyone. He's probably the best one-slot buster in the whole game. And we'll show you some good replays of what he can do. So here's the one I have. Oh, there we go. That I showed earlier in a video, and this is just kind of showing off the skills. So we start off with a Chain Blast, and airships do trigger Walker skills. So there's a Chain Blast. That means if it hits everything. So there we go, boom, it hits it, and then boom, there's the Chain Blast, and then now since the slot died, we get a Death Rattle, boom, it hits those, the rest, well, the Death Rattle triggered, then the Chain Blast triggered. So here's another Chain Blast. First we see the primary hit, boom, then there's the Death Rattle hitting everything, and then here comes a Chain Blast, boom, it hits that next front row, which also triggers the Death Rattle again. So here we go into the third attack. We've already wiped out the front row, and we've severely weakened the back row. And then yeah, he cleans it up here. So that's how it works. You might want to slow down this video and rewatch how that all works, because it's really scary for your opponents to go against a Hoodoo because of how badly he punishes with his skills, and they just keep stacking on top of each other. And I don't have Awakening because I don't have S-Class, so you can imagine if the Awakening goes off, sometimes it one-slots the whole front row, so you don't get a good Chain Blast, and sometimes it hurts your Death Rattle. It's still great, don't get me wrong, but sometimes you don't want to go too high on your Awakening with Hoodoo just because of that downside. And of course, Hoodoo looks really good when you see that replay and you see what he can do, but of course he can be countered, right? And there's some good replays today to show, which is why I'm doing this Hoodoo video, is because I actually have some good high-level replays for you guys to see. In this case, Hoodoo doesn't want to go against air commanders, and Hoodoo doesn't want to fight doesn't want to fight troops in the back row. So you'll see here, Lurgo knew that he was going to be defending here, so he had first strike, and he put his troops in the second slot, thinking that DCL was going to put his troops in the second slot, giving Lurgo the first strike on the walkers. But alas, he hits Rangers for a massive amount of damage in that front row from the chain blast. But you'll see that the serious airships only took 60 damage, because that is 60% of a Ranger's hit points. So the Ranger's maximum HP may only be, in this regard, say 100 HP. So that means when the death rattle hit, everything else only got hit for 60 HP. But if that Ranger, if there was 100,000 Rangers in that slot, then they would have been hit for 60,000. And that would have destroyed DCL's slot. But DCL planned accordingly, put his troops in the back row, and avoided any major hits, because the Rangers did all the brunt work for him. So that was a good counter by him. The second replay here, this is going to be a Stella fight. Okay, well, we can't edit that out, so we're just going to have to keep going. Here we go. I think replay 3 and 4 are the ones we want to look at. So it's not just a Hoodoo video, it's a how to counter Hoodoo video. And yeah, we'll get into the gems and the gear as well here in a second. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, replay 3. Ooh, nope, that's not Hoodoo. Is it Hoodoo? Oh gosh. I'm going to have 2 bad replays in a row. No, okay, so in this case, DCL's Hoodoo does the dirty work. He knows he's on the offensive, so he lets his first troop die. And he may not have known what he was defending against, but he knows that his first strike is going to be in the second slot. It's going to be with his airships, and he's going to hit a plasma. So he is going to take the full blast there. But then the death rattle hits, really softening that plasma up. So he gets his value back, and he ends up losing the fight. But overall, he won the troop trade. And the 4th battle. So in this one, Lurgo looks like he auto-attacked with full march, and DCL was defending with just his tier 10 airships, and this is what you don't want to happen. So Lurgo saw an opportunity, probably auto-marched his best troops against his Ark, just tried to catch him off guard, and DCL had already garrisoned his airship commander with tier 10 airships, which are a natural counter to all these walkers, and he hit the Awakening. So even though DCL took some serious damage, he also got to dish out a ton, because airship Awakening hits all 6 slots, while Walker Awakening only hits half as many, but twice as hard. So in that regard, yeah, that's when your walkers don't go the way you planned. But, be aware of that, know what you're going up against, and know if your opponents know how to counter you. Okay, so the best gear for Hoodoo. Well, as I said, you don't want to play Hoodoo as a defensive commander. You want to do him as a 1-slot bust commander, where you just put all your troops in one area, either first or second slot, and then, hope for one-shotting the opponent's side and getting a massive chain blast and death rattle off. Best units, best gear for doing that is going to be crit damage. You're going to be probably critting a lot with him because you have such high crit chance. And accuracy, right? So he doesn't have a guaranteed hit skill. He needs accuracy to hit. Gemini is a guaranteed hit, and it's a common gem, but I don't recommend it on Hoodoo because you do want to one-slot the troops, or one-shot the troops. So Eye of Abyss is good. Destruction Helmet is good. Weapons, accuracy and attack are good. Skywalker and Apocalyptor can be interchangeable. I personally like the Skywalker a little better because it has higher accuracy and you get that total crit damage back, and I think they're easier to get. So overall, Skywalker I think is a better choice. Overall, it's up to you. Whatever you have, use it. For chess piece, Death, Black Knight, Shaledria, and the Walker one would be just fine. Nothing here is too important. No offensive stats on chess pieces. And for pants, you can use dodge, right? Probably Maduel are the best. I recommend Maduel. I have dodge on him right now because my Maduel are on a different commander. So Maduel or the Walker pants for accuracy are probably better than Nixaw, but most importantly are these first 3. Damage, 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 and accuracy. So that's how I build them. Gem-wise, you'd want to go Libra, because Libra says 20% chance to trigger until the activator's next action, counter all attacks. It may not seem like a big deal, but when you counter an attack, maybe against a troop in the back row that you can't hit or you're trying to hit early, you could potentially decimate an entire slot of low-tier troops that's just there to pillage you or whatever, and end up hitting, because of the death rattle, everything else. And there's some legendary replays out there where someone knew what they were marching against, and they intentionally put troops in the slots where they wouldn't get hit by the walkers, but the Libra procced and destroyed everything on the board. And then for the other gem, I recommend using the Leo, I believe it is. Let me double check here. We'll go to our thing here. I think Leo, because it's such a good proc, I think it like lowers HP or defense by 60%. Let's see what Taurus does. Taurus is... This is just plus damage stats. So Taurus isn't bad. I recommend Taurus. Taurus ain't bad. But if you can get them, or if you have them, go with Leo. And we're going to get there in just a second. Is that Leo? No, it's Pisces. Here we go. Leo. Leo says... disregard 60% defense buffs. You don't really deal with a lot of defense on infantry troops, but you do against airships, and with this trigger, you can actually do really good against airship commanders, which are your natural bane. So, Leo, Libra, all attack, and level those skills up, and one slot bust away with Hoodoo. And yeah, thanks for watching this video. If you have any questions or comments, or you want to recommend other commanders because you found out something neat, let me know in the comments below. So, yeah, thanks for watching. Please kindly know.